Before we get into this special weekend edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98, for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. The holidays are here, and for a lot of folks, that means packed schedules, some big meals, good intentions that don't always survive Christmas and New Year's. Joining us today is Dr. Ashley Lucas, founder of PhD Weight Loss. She has a PhD in sports nutrition and chronic disease and has literally helped thousands of people lose weight in a healthy and sustainable way, yours truly being one of those. And even during some tough times like we're experiencing during this Christmas and New Year's season. Dr. Lucas, always good to have you with us.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to see you, Joey.
Let's just start. The holidays are notorious for overeating, falling off track. What's some of the biggest myths, if you will, about holiday eating, and what would you like to debunk for those people who are trying to maintain or lose weight during this season?
Yeah, I think the biggest myth is that we cannot go through the holidays and stay healthy and enjoy the foods that we love so much. And we can have both happen at the same time, right? Two things can be true. You can go through the holidays and be healthy. You can enjoy the foods that you love. You just have to go through it in a wise way. So there are some tips that I provide our clients at PhD Weight Loss, because this can be an overwhelming season if your goal is to actually drop weight. But our clients really love working with us because they're like under our wings. We've got them. We can hold them and support them and hold their hand and guide them through the season. And I always recommend that if you are considering starting a diet plan or considering to drop weight, to not wait until all of the New Year resolution, New Year, New You, because you want to be able to learn the skills of how to get through the more challenging times of the year so that the following year, you know what to do. You've practiced it, you've had help and guidance, because when you can make it through the holiday season, you can make it through any season. So I'd love to share some tips, Joey, if that would be helpful.
Absolutely. I'd love for you to.
Okay, great. Well, so the first thing is to never go into a big feasting event hungry. A lot of people think, gosh, I'm just going to skip breakfast, I'm going to skip lunch, or I'm not going to eat very much. It's all about calories in and calories out. And one thing that you learn at PhD Weight Loss is that weight loss is much more complicated than just calories in and calories out. And you probably learned that, Joey. Yep. The way we eat, the foods we eat, when we eat really dictate if our body's going to store more fat or if we're going to burn fat. So the biggest thing is to not think about reducing calories in that day, but to set yourself up for success. So if you've got a big event, a big eating event, I'll call it, I would recommend eating breakfast. I would recommend eating lunch, just a manageable, balanced meal so that you go into this feasting event not starving, not ravenous. You can enjoy the foods you love, but not feel overwhelmed by all the choices. So I always recommend about 20 to 30 grams of protein specifically before you head into an eating event, so you can get in there and be calm and make controlled choices. Another suggestion is to go in with a plan, right? So what are you going to do? What are those foods that make the celebration or the event really important to you? Is it the pumpkin pie? Is it having a cocktail or two? What is that? And choose those items. Eat really balanced around it, making sure the first thing that you consume is protein. Protein is your friend. So you consume protein first, you make sure you don't go in ravenous, and then you've already decided with a plan, because remember, if you don't prep or you don't have a plan, you're planning for failure. So you have a plan, you know the foods you're going to enjoy guilt-free, and then you go home and you're like, wow, that was a really great event and I felt in control. And that's my goal for anyone going into any kind of eating celebration.
Yeah. Let's talk for a minute about portion control, because you go to some of these parties and there's just a spread of food in front of you. and you're with it's almost like peer pressure to eat because you're with your family and your friends. What's your advice for handling those moments without feeling like you're missing out?
It's all about mindset, right? If you go in to an event or anything with a feeling of deprivation and restriction, it's really interesting actually. Your body will adapt and the hormones that you secrete will be different than if you go in to an event, that same event, with a mindset of confidence, of, hey, these foods that I'm choosing are benefiting me and giving me my life back and supporting my energy and my vibrancy and allowing me to do what I love in this life.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. There were quite a few studies showing that if people think of deprivation and restriction, then their body is going to actually secrete more more ghrelin, and ghrelin is the hunger hormone. So you're going to be hungrier, and less leptin. Leptin is the full hormone. So you're going to be hungry, less full, more cravings, not satiated. Instead, if you go into the same event and look at the food, the healthy food that you're consuming, and think, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for this food. This food is giving me my energy and my life back. You will actually secrete more leptin, that full hormone, and less ghrelin. So how you think about food, how you think about your life, and we talk a lot about this at PhD Weight Loss. I think 80% of any change comes from the mind. We've got to tackle the mental, emotional, habit, behavior. So if you can go in with the right mindset and let deprivation and restriction go, your body's actually going to start working for you.
Yeah. Dr. Ashley Lucas is my guest today. You can find out additional information at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Something you said a minute ago about not skipping breakfast. And I think this is probably one of the things that I learned from you and your team at PhD is not to skip breakfast, not to skip meals, because, I think prior to PhD, I would try to lose weight. And I'd think, well, I just won't eat. I'll skip breakfast or I'll skip lunch. That's right. But it's really important to stay on that schedule, isn't it? And to have those meals, but just have the proper meals.
Yeah. Everybody's different. I will say that. And at PhD Weight Loss, we make sure that we customize your plan. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm never eating breakfast, I'm not going to do that plan, we will work with you. I do find that the first phase of weight loss for most people, we've got to start to balance and reset the metabolism. Most people come in and their metabolism is so slow and sluggish. They're not eating very much. It definitely, the number of calories they're consuming definitely doesn't equate to the amount of excess fat mass that they're carrying. And so for the majority of people, we will start to set clear meals to allow the body to reset and repattern itself. Now, I would say that breakfast, and I have a lot of episodes talking about breakfast on my podcast and my YouTube channel. Breakfast isn't necessarily the most important meal of the day. That slogan actually came from Kellogg in the 1940s to sell his cereal. Like, that's a marketing claim. But it's the most important meal to get right because it's going to set the tone for the rest of the day. So whenever you eat your first meal, you need to make sure that it's going to set up your body, your blood glucose, your insulin levels, because most of us are eating more sweet breakfast. We're eating our cereal. It has the heart healthy stamp on it, which, by the way, usually means nothing and means that it's actually not healthy for you, unfortunately. It will have more sugar in it than other cereals, and in general, cereal's not the best breakfast. But we'll be eating cereal and skim milk and a banana. That sets us up for failure. So you need to make sure that the first meal that you eat in the day is protein forward. Better off usually with savory, but there are some sweet options. Just like you said, Joey, that first meal is going to set the tone for your metabolic speed. It's either going to tell your body, again, to burn fat, which we want, or to store fat, which we don't. So we have to give it the right message.
Yeah. Dr. Lucas, you have mentioned metabolism a couple of times and resetting your metabolism. We hear that a lot. So that is a thing. You can reset your metabolism?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Before I got into the field of nutrition and weight loss, I was a professional ballet dancer. I chronically underate. I dieted all the time. I was vegetarian. I avoided red meat because we were told that red meat causes heart disease, which it doesn't. We were told not to eat fat because of the same, or I had this belief that if I eat fat, I'll get fat. And I was very strict with myself, and I had to completely shut down my metabolism. My research at Virginia Tech when I was getting my PhD looked at just that. What happens when we chronically undereat and diet and when our metabolism is just completely depressed? And how do we get it back? And the good news is there is hope for you if you're feeling like your metabolism is slow or broken. It probably is, but you can heal it. I've healed mine. I'm leaner than I ever was during my dancing career, and I eat a ton of meat. Actually, that's mostly what I do consume, and lots of healthy fats, just like we taught you, Joey, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, I lost over 30 pounds, and, we're coming up on 6 years now. It's
Oh my gosh,
hard to believe,
right?
isn't it? But yes, it'll be 6 years
That's so hard to believe.
in 2026 in the summer. So
That's amazing. Well, congratulations, Joey, for
thank
keeping
you.
it off, because
look,
that's what it's all about.
you and your team taught me how to do it and how to maintain it. Let's get back to the holidays and Christmas and New Year's. Lots of parties, as we mentioned, treats, drinks. Are there specific, let's just say, food hacks? Is there such thing as a food hack that you would recommend that let people enjoy the season and stay focused with their goals?
Yeah, let's talk about that. One of the hacks I mentioned, protein forward, protein before you go in. Interestingly enough, and you probably all understand how this works, but if you can get your body moving before you go into a meal, it's very helpful. Not because you're burning calories. I never talk about calories, actually.
Yeah.
This is the most I've mentioned that word in a really long time. If you are a client of ours at PhD Weight Loss, we never talk about it because the body, again, is much more complicated than that. So I look at how we can hack our foods by how it shifts the metabolism. And so if you can specifically lift some weights or do some air squats or go for a brisk walk, it's going to get the body primed to be able to burn the energy you do consume rather than store it. Like the muscles are going to just soak it in. So lift some weights, do some air squats, do some push-ups, get your muscles actually pumping before you eat. You could do 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in your water, about 16 ounces of water, a few minutes before the meal, and that will help your body take up blood glucose, the glucose that you're consuming, and again, shunt it into the muscles rather than into fat. So that's something you can do. The order in which you eat your food has a significant impact on your blood glucose. So veggies first, protein and veggies together. That's what you would want to do ideally. So kind of like they do in Europe, right? You're going to have your salad first, and then you would have your meat. And then if you really want those carbs, that's going to be the last thing in the meal that you consume, like your treat. But remember that mashed potatoes, all of these starchy veggies, any kind of bread is also like a quote unquote treat in your body. So that's what I mean. All of those types of foods you would eat last in the order. And then after you're done eating, go for a nice leisurely walk, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. There was a study looking at 2 groups of people who drank Coke, pure sugar. It's going to spike your glucose, and then you're going to have this compensatory low. You're going to be in this fat storage mode. And they had one group walk after the Coke and one group just continue to sit. And the group that got up and went for that leisurely 10 to 20 minute walk dropped their blood glucose levels by 33%.
Wow.
So again, I'm not looking at burning calories. I'm looking at how it's impacting your body. I'd say those are going to be some great tips to help you get through the holiday. Alcohol, it does stop fat burn. 1 shot will stop fat burn for about 4 to 8 hours, and anything more will stop fat burn exponentially. This is okay, but you can kind of hack your alcohol. If you would go for something that's less sweet, you're going to have a better bang for your buck metabolically. Again, I'm not looking at calories at all. The low-calorie wine, you don't need to worry about. What you're looking at is the sugar content. So a better beverage would be like a a dry red or white wine. Doesn't matter the color, just that it's not super sweet. Another option would be hard liquor with a club soda and a squeeze of lemon or lime. Recognizing tonic water doesn't taste sweet, but it has just as much sugar as that Coke I was just talking about. So tequila and vodka are your cleanest hard liquors if you want to enjoy that. So hopefully those are some good tips so you can still enjoy your holiday and feel good at the same time. That's the goal.
Those are some great tips. And again, you can find out additional information at myphdweightloss.com. Dr. Lucas, one final question for you. It's become a real thing in the weight loss industry, the shot. Or shots. There are various products out on the market. What's your advice to people who are thinking, well, I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm going to do the easy thing and go for one of the shots? Yeah.
I would say no matter what you do, you have to learn and support your body. There is actually no easy way. Even if you decide to go and take the drugs, you have to create the change in your mind. Remember, 80% of any change comes from the mental, emotional habit, behavior, the emotional work. There's just no way around it. Unfortunately, you're going to have to go through it if you want to keep the weight off for good. That's ultimately my goal for every single client who comes into PhD weight loss. The weight loss is the easy part, actually. And we don't use medications. It's all natural. Most of our men drop 3 to 4, sometimes 5 pounds a week. Most of our women about 2.5 pounds a week. So it's actually faster than the drugs, and it's natural. You'll get rid of food noise and food chatter by the metabolic shift we create in your body. So I would just say no matter what you decide to do, you've got to do the work. You have to, if you take the drugs, you have to be so careful about what you're eating. You have to be more aware of your dietary intake than someone, going to PhD weight loss. You are at extremely high risk of losing your muscle mass. About 25 to 30% of the weight lost actually is not coming from fat for the majority of people. It's coming from muscle. Muscle is your organ of longevity. It determines basically how long and how well you will live. It's your metabolic currency. And it's really, really hard to gain back, especially if you're over the age of 40. As you continue to age, the harder it is to maintain your muscle. It is so important that some people say maintaining muscle is more important than losing the fat weight. Now, at PhD Weight Loss, we focus on both. We focus on you maintaining and at some point growing your muscle mass because it's so key to longevity and health. And we also focus on dropping as much just fat weight as possible. Whenever you go through any weight loss process, you're going to lose some muscle, but the goal is to reduce that. So again, if you're taking these medications, you have to be so aware of what you're doing. You have to eat a ton of protein, and you've got to lift weights and do resistance training. And then you have to focus on the mindset and establish the discipline, because at some point you're going to want to get off of these medications. And you're going to want to be able to have the self-discipline and the understanding and the know-how so you can keep the weight off for good. So those are really my recommendations. If you decide to go that route, if you don't, then you're going to be more, I don't want to say forced, but guided to do all of these things and create a true sustainable change.
Yep. Well, it worked for me. It will work for our listeners as well. If you're listening today and you're thinking about getting healthy, losing weight, but you're saying, well, I'll just wait till after the new year. Nope, don't do that. Start right now so that you can get through the holidays and get a good start to 2026. MyPhDweightloss.com is where you can get additional information. Dr. Lucas, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate what you do, and Merry Christmas to you and your team.
Oh, thanks, Joey. Same to you, and Peg, happy holidays.
That's it for this special weekend edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code JOEY. Order online at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.